The new vice presidential candidate, Tim Build the Wall Walls. Similarly to JD Vance, I wanted to just do a little research and kind of break down what I was finding about our new VP candidate. I need to open by saying something because I was concerned about how to present this. I was trying to go through all this effort to appear unbiased, and I've decided I'm not going to do that. I am biased. I really like Tim Walz. I liked him already, and then I read more about him and I liked him more. If anything, the thing people might not like me for is that I wish he was president. Weeks ago, I think during when Biden was still running, I said, I wish we could just get a candidate that had like a long career of public service that we've never heard of, who's a normal person. That is what I finally feel like I got. The first thing I wanted to mention was that, like, for me, it's a little bit shocking how quickly there has been a rebound in the enthusiasm, the polling, the donations, and the movement for the Democratic Party in America in the past 3 weeks. It's shocking. What's so funny to me is that Biden's approval numbers are going up. People are like, we like you, but just not as president, which is so funny. But anyway, so just talking about Tim Walz, basically the long story short is he joined the military. I forget which exact rank he got to, but it's the highest rank anyone serving in the House has ever received. Staff sergeant, something like that. Well, I don't remember. And then was a history teacher, a geography teacher, and a football coach for like 12 years. Then served as a senator and then now governor of Minnesota. And while at governor of Minnesota, he did a bunch of things. Again, I looked at his record, same as JD Vance. I wanted to see what he's voted for and what he's done. The coolest thing about his time there is that they actually just passed a lot of things. Most of them you probably heard about. Things like, you know, guaranteed school lunches for kids, things like weed legalizations, things like some common sense gun control laws. There's some abortion rights stuff, a lot of like stuff that is generally popular. And that was pretty good. But one thing that, look a little deeper, I found things that like might give me hints as to what he would support on a higher platform when it's not just Minnesota. And I liked those too. Again, I was looking for contras, things that I would like dislike. I found out that he supported lifting the ban on nuclear power in Minnesota and putting his weight behind a study for I'm so pro-nuclear. I found out like he's a self-described optimist who wants to plan for the worst. That's literally my philosophy. You know, so I'm finding a lot of things to like, you know, it's like, he's extremely pro-union. Again, all this stuff is making me unironically feel positive about a politician, which is something that's very hard to do. I couldn't find a lot in how he was talking that was off-putting. He didn't come off to me as like weirdly slick or like a striver, like someone who's literally just saying whatever people want to hear. Oh my God, I forgot to finish this slide, so I didn't include it. We have to mention it. This is the number one thing that nobody's talking about. Nobody mentioned this when they're talking about the upside of Tim Walz, and it's my favorite thing. He supports a lot of the social programs I want to do. He wants to raise the minimum wage, all of that. I get that. But he's coming from a state where he is governor that he is leaving with a $3.7 billion budget surplus. Somehow he has managed to do all of these things. And I look into it, it's because they are spending less than they receive in taxes. It wasn't like some kind of one-time, one-off, they won the lottery thing. It is because the money came from spending less than they received in taxes. Now, I mean, if they increase programs, it'll probably eventually the surplus will get spent away, I'm sure. But this is so rare in any elected official. He's not even like a crazy overspending deficit crazy. You know, it's like, I can't even find that to be mad about, which is like something I really personally care a lot about. The only thing I got was a little bit of a too good to be true vibe, which I'm sure there's gotta be something. I'm not saying there's nothing. I'm include everything. The two things that I think are going to be brought up a lot are his DUI. I think his DUI was nothing. Extremely long time ago, George Bush had a DUI. Number one, when he was governor during the George Floyd protests into riots, he was slow to respond. The protests start turning more aggressive, more violent. There's starting to be fires and looting or whatever. It took 22 hours, an evening of one day into the evening of next day before the National Guard got approved to go in. That's the big thing he's going to get hit on. And based on what he said, again, I looked into it, what he said, he took responsibility for it, said there's no reason that should happen. I failed you last night in that to act quickly. I don't see like a huge issue here. And that's like the big thing that everything that's hitting him is like that. That's one of the big things. He supported legislation to allow illegal immigrants in Minnesota to get driver's license. which to me is like, has anyone ever seen season 3 of The Wire? In season 3 of The Wire, there was a police captain named Bunny Colvin who, after seeing years and years and years of violence in the part of Baltimore he's supposed to protect, decides to bend the law a bit and create a section, a corner, where they can deal drugs legally as long as there's no violence. That's the idea. And they find out, surprise, surprise, that it works. They save a lot of money on policing all the violence. They use that to solve actual murders. He knows that it's an endless war. He can't solve it. He doesn't have enough resources to solve it. To me, this feels similar to that, where it's like, maybe it's not publicly popular, but when people get in accidents and they don't have a license, they're more likely to flee. They can't get insurance without a license. So like, it just makes the road safer for, you know what I'm saying? You can't solve the entire illegal immigration problem. So if you're going to have it, you might as well make sure that everyone on that road is safe. It just feels like a common sense solution that'll be used against you, but it's not like actually a bad, it's actually a smart idea. That's what it feels like to me. So again, I don't hold that against them. I only had today to look at it, but I was trying to find more things that I could really be like, this part I really don't like. And I didn't find it. And again, one good thing about him is he doesn't fall into all the messaging traps that people who support things that I like often do. Like when you look like this and you support things that I like, unions and gun control laws, and it really helps get it across. It's extremely valuable because it makes people realize that you're not, I don't know, you don't have a personal stake in it. You just think it's a good idea. Anyway, there's a couple clips here we should watch. I wanted to give you that kind of breakdown, but there's a lot of clips that we can watch and sort of discuss together. You can make up your own opinion. Oh yeah, I also saw his former students and they all had like really nice things to say about him. You know, I was a C student in high school. He took the time to make sure I was successful, not only in his class, but others. He made learning exciting. You know, that's just a good energy. And then you had another student respond, I was a slacker who didn't fit in. He encouraged me. He treated my thoughts as valuable. Mr. Walls was the best. That's good to hear. This is a Fox News op-ed. I served with Tim Walz as a Republican in the House. He'll be a good vice president. That's crazy. Very rare to cross the aisle like that. Again, I also looked at the bills he sponsored when he was in the Senate. Over half of them were from non-democratic sources. So I mean, Republican co-sponsors. So he had like a lot of bipartisan bills. And it's crazy because I've never heard of the guy. I'm not going to fully admit, a couple weeks ago, I never heard of the guy. Oh, also one thing. The CNN behind the scenes article, whatever, it was saying that he was talking to Kamala's vetting team before he got picked as VP. And one of the things he said was, hey, I've never used a teleprompter. Is that going to be a problem? And then you see him on stage and he's quick with it.
And I got to tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy. That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there?
He's even got the dad face. That's like the face my dad will make when he makes a joke. His son. His son is like a Atrioc viewer. One of you, I'm sure, reading Star Wars novelizations.
Hey, Minnesota, I'm back. Gus's tournament's over. And he does actually read books. So, Gus, what are you reading? Or read?
Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith. It's just a good book with a lot of action in it.
All right. Well, thanks again, Minnesota.
He's wearing a Keep Calm and Game On shirt reading the Star Wars Episode 3 novelization. This kid should be president, let me tell you that. Yeah, I don't know. What I'm saying is tough to find a lot to hate. Trump campaign sent an email to all their subscribers today that said, Tim Walz will unleash hell on earth. And I just don't get that vibe. I just do not get the vibe that messaging is going to stick, that he's truly going to unleash hell on earth. But it could be that crooked Kamala's coup is complete and Tim Walz would be the worst VP in history and he'll unleash hell on earth. I want you to know there's 2 points of view on this, and I'd hate to not present both sides here. He might literally, the second he gets into office, draw a pentagram in the Oval Office and release Beelzebub, the Prince of Darkness, into the world. That could happen. Oh, and another thing, dude. Another thing. Bro, again, I'm looking into his past. I find out he taught English in China and he can speak conversational Mandarin. I mean, his quote on China is like...
As I said, I've been there about 30 times, but if someone tells you they're an expert on China, they're probably not telling you the truth because it's a complex country, but it's critically important for us. I don't fall into the category that China necessarily needs to be an adversarial relationship. I totally disagree.
He has like a nuanced opinion on China, which is so important because the United States-China relationship is going to define like the next 10 years. And he's not like a 100% China bad. He's not 100% I love Xi Jinping, he's my best friend. Dude, that's what I'm saying. I just think he would be a good president, which is why it's almost unfortunate that he's VP. But as a politician, like I haven't found a lot to dislike. And he's got so many years of doing the boring stuff that I believe it. It doesn't feel like he did a thing for 2 years to look good and then pad his political career. He like taught geography for so long. He managed a lunchroom for a bit. What is this clip?
So let's say you're on a debate stage with, say, J.D. Vance, and he accuses you of being a big government liberal who's attacking our families, making life worse for our families.
Yeah, first of all, it was up to him. I wouldn't have a family because of IVF. And also, I make sure that I'm the guys and our folks are investing in prenatal care. We're the ones that are there for universal pre-K. We're the ones that are providing school meals at this. I'm not going to back down one bit on this whole family values thing, and it's us. There's nothing pro-family other than having women be incubators for their vision of this. Once again, it's weird. I don't want J.D. Vance talking about my family. I certainly don't want him talking about my daughter or my wife. It's none of his damn business.
I included this message because he has cracked something that I have thought about and haven't been able to crack. I'm really impressed with his messaging. He has a few key phrases that like cut through a lot of the social bullshit. And one of them is, it's none of your damn business. It's a great way of diffusing all this talk about bathrooms and kids' genitals and all this bullshit that is like so irrelevant to what politicians should be working on. And he talks about that and it's really good. I'm really impressed with that. I like his messaging and then calling them weird. And I think those two things made him rise up the ranks really fast. I'm really impressed. And then I looked into his past, their work on medical care. His dad died of lung cancer when he was young, and the medical bills forced his mom to work decades more than she wanted to. And he has mentioned that as a driving force for him to try to get medical care costs down. And that's like a story that seems to be real and resonant. That's like a real American healthcare story that is provably true that happened to him. And then it's a rare thing for me to like want to trust a politician about anything, but I give him for so far from what I've seen. Again, we'll give it more time and I'll listen to more speeches but like I looked pretty hard today and I didn't find a lot to dislike about the guy. Oh, so if you want to know a little of Tim Walz's history, you want to know why he's here, because he kind of came out of nowhere. Obviously, he has like this legislative success and background, but he wasn't a national name until this interview. And I'll just let you watch it. This is sort of what kicked off his political career as VP candidate.
What I know is that people like J.D. Vance know nothing about small town America. My town had 400 people in it, 24 kids in my graduating class, 12 were cousins, and he gets it all wrong. It's not about hate. It's not about collapsing in. The golden rule there is mind your own damn business. Their policies are what destroyed rural America. They've divided us. They're in our exam rooms. They're telling us what books to read. And I think what Kamala Harris knows is bringing people together around the shared values, strong public schools, strong labor unions that create the middle class, healthcare that's affordable and accessible. Those are the things. You look what they're talking about, they went right to division. We do not like what has happened where we can't even go to Thanksgiving dinner with our uncle because you end up in some weird fight that is unnecessary. and I think bringing back people together, well, it's true. These guys are just weird. That angst that J.D. Vance talks about in Hillbilly Elegy, none of my hillbilly cousins went to Yale, and none of them went on to be venture capitalists or whatever. It's not who people really are. So
anyway, that sort of kicked off the weird messaging that like really struck a chord and like took off and helped re-energize people and kind of put Republicans on the back foot. And this launched him into the national spotlight. And then all of a sudden, a few weeks later, he's the VP candidate. And I would be surprised it's such a whirlwind, but looking at his past, it's like it's all the work he put in before. I mean, it's years and years and years of the not sexy stuff, the not stuff on camera that like has built up a great track record. I'm pretty impressed. I'm just pretty impressed. That's my honest take. He's got this. I found this too. It was him.
Hey, Tim here, 11 days till the election, but it's my pro tip of the day out on the road. I got to show you this. This right here is the headlight harness on a 2014 Ford Edge. Ford, this is unacceptable. It burned out hot on the connector. So for $7.99 at Napa Auto Parts here in the city, you can replace this. Just clip.
Bro, it's just my dad. It's just it's so dad coded. Oh, and then final thing is like for some crazy stroke of fate, the one soda that J.D. Vance is known for, because he made the Diet Mountain Dew racist joke. There's a tweet from 2019 of Tim Walz drinking Diet Mountain Dew. It's like he was designed to f over J.D. Vance.